Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 129 of the Alter Podcast. In a bit, we are going to get to the Epstein documents dropping and whatnot and who's it. But first, Max, what were you saying?
Okay. I was in Utah. You were sick, so we couldn't actually hang out in person. But I want to share something I guess I was never aware of because I've been to Utah several times, but I've never
Mm-hmm.
like stayed for a few days in like the main cities or something like that.
So you stayed
So
in Sandy, just for the record, right? Like the
yeah,
Sandy area?
yeah, Sandy, South Salt Lake City,
Okay,
basically. Yeah.
I gotcha. All right.
And so okay. It'll phase this out. Okay, I bought this at like the Trader Joe's, and it's Epic Brewing's their juicy IPA,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 5% alcohol by volume.
Mm-hmm.
Almost everything is 5% alcohol by volume, and that's because if to legally serve it on draft, it has to be 5%, and if it's over that, it has to come out of a can.
Mm-hmm.
Now, disregard the fact that like wine or spirits and liquor is a higher percentage than that, and you can pour that, but I guess that technically comes out of a bottle or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, Utah's liquor laws are absolutely stupid and
They are
heinous.
the dumbest. I'm really glad I really don't drink a whole lot, like I say as I'm having a beer, but like I can still just get beer from a gas station. If you want anything harder than beer, like first of all of the hard liquor, your vodkas, your gins, your rums, your what have yous, your wines, even your basic wines that you might use for cooking, you have to get at the state liquor store. It's the DMV for liquor. And I swear to God, every time I'm in there, I'm just like, what is this? Is this really the best we can do in Mormonlandia?
I've legitimate so okay, I have been to the ABCs a couple of times.
Mm.
That's what they call them, right? Is it? Some of them are
Some
like
of
the
them are
alcohol
ABCs.
beverage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I've been to a couple of those. Like I played a couple shows in Utah, but like we were playing at the bar, and I guess I just like never noticed because it's just like, oh yeah, pour me a beer, whatever. Yeah,
Mm.
it's fine. But like I was never like ordering and paying for myself. I hate to say it that way, but like I was playing a show,
Yeah.
so bar taps on the venue. So, but like sitting down, and like we went to this really nice brewery, um, Bohemian
Oh,
something.
that was actually another place I was going to suggest, the Bohemian Grill or something like that, which is like in
Yeah,
South Sandy-ish.
yeah, and immediately when you enter these places, you can tell that it's like a Mormon free zone, right? Because I mean, they don't drink, right?
Yeah.
But but it's just like this little like nebula of like not Mormon culture pervasive in the thing. But anyways, we sit down and I like look through the beer and all we wanted to do was like, oh, we're gonna order a drink and like have an appetizer or something like that.
Word.
And so we sit down and like look through the menu, like, oh, okay. And like all of these beers are pinned at 5%. And then there's strong beer, and the strong beer is like its separate category. It comes in 12-ounce cans.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like the waitress comes over, and I'm like, so like we can't get any of these beers on draft. And she's like, no, you can't. And I was like, well, so what's the point of like the brewery being here, like that I can't get a draft of the beer from the brewery? And then like no reasonable brewer would like pin all their beers to 5%, right? Like
Yeah.
they would make it to, I mean, it would be 5.2, it'd be 4.8, it'd be 7.5, it'd be all these
So
different
it actually
things.
used to be like 3.5. That law changed recently. And beer companies would make a special 3.5% beer for sale in Utah up until the
Well,
past
there's
couple. Go.
Colorado was like that too. So Colorado, up until like 3 years ago, we
Mm-hmm.
had 3.2 beer. So you couldn't buy. There was regular liquor stores. Okay, so completely normal, not state-run liquor stores where you
Yeah,
could go in and buy anything you
a
wanted.
free man's liquor
And then
store. Yeah.
yeah, and then but the thing was is that the grocery store you couldn't buy wine or liquor or regular strength beer. It was
Mhm.
3-2 beer, and it was a holdover from before the drinking age got raised to 21. In Colorado, if you were 18, you could buy 3.2% beer
Hmm.
until you were the age 21, and then you could buy full strength everything. And so there was, and this was all through the 80s. I don't think Colorado raised its age until like the late 80s or something like that. So like when my parents were in school, they even as freshmen, sophomores, 18, 19 years old, they could go to the store and get 3-2 beer.
Hmm.
And there was 3-2 beer everywhere in every store. And then they changed it. There was this voter thing. They were like, okay, we're gonna screw this. We're just making it so you can sell regular strength beer, wine, in stores. Liquor is still generally exclusively sold in liquor stores.
Mhm.
So you can't get anything stronger than like wines typically tops out at like 15% ABV. But like there is this loop. There's a little thing that says like each chain grocery store or whatever can only has like one franchise option where they can at their pilot liquor license sell liquor. So there's like a Trader Joe's in Denver where you can get like $15 bourbon that's just like, and it's full strength stuff and it's really cheap and everything like that. My girlfriend's telling me um, oh yeah, and so we had gone and visited another friend we had up in North Salt Lake, and then afterwards we just dropped into was it Epic? No, it was Wasatch Brewing,
Mhm.
and really nice place, really cool. And we're sitting up at the bar, and the college football playoff is on.
Oh,
You
jeez.
watch any of this?
I usually don't. Sometimes I catch like if BYU's in a game, I'll
Well,
like get some highlights, but
but well, it's like it's kind of a new thing, like where there's like a bracket of 4 teams to play the final game in college
mhm.
football. It's like only been around a couple of years. So it was anyways, we just sat down and watched like the tail end of one of the games. Didn't even really care that it was on. But as we're sitting there, like she gets like a little flight and like is tasting some stuff, and she's like asking like, oh hey, could I get like a can of this to go, because that's a normal thing in Wyoming. All the liquor is purchased through the state, like is a single purchaser of alcohol, so they kind of set prices. But
Mhm.
once you're in the liquor store, it's like they do whatever. It's you know
Word.
it, or the grocery store.
Mhm.
I think the rule is for grocery stores it has to be like a separate area where the beer and wine is, but it's just like you walk through a door and you pick up the wine and beer there, and it's all fine. It's not ultra too stupid. Anyways, but at breweries in Wyoming, like you can go to a brewery and just buy like a tall boy of whatever you want.
Mhm.
You can buy a crowler, you can buy a growler, whatever. But the guy was like, sorry, I cannot sell you a can of that. I can only sell you like a 32-ounce crowler of that beer.
Jeez.
And she's like, oh, that's all right. And he's like, no, it's not all right. It's stupid.
At least he knows. Good. Yes.
um,
Oh man.
and th- and then there was there's like this Euro couple next to us, and the guy was like on his phone, like just completely checked out. And then the girl was like looking around, and she like looked at, or she was like looking at the menu, and I had like a spare food menu, and I passed it over to her because we're sitting at the bar, right?
Yeah.
Um, and she's like, "Do you know what percentage the beers are?" I'm like, 5%.
Oh.
Okay, and she's like got some Euro accent. I don't know if it's like Czech or
Mhm.
Romanian or something like that. But anyways,
She was a
it was
KGB. She was KGB.
Speaking of which, if you are in the DC area, you have a federal government job, and you are drowning in Chinese cat, um, you have been honeypotted.
Enjoy it while it lasts, my friend. You better start learning Chinese.
But no, Utah's great. The air quality is horrible.
It's actually
Um,
so we're having a series of storms blow through right now, so the AQI is like back down into like the 20s, which is great for my sinuses. But yeah,
dude, I suffered when I was there.
it's bad. The inversion is no mercy.
Well, you go up to the mountains and it's fine. Like you
Yeah.
literally you feel like a Nordic warrior up there in the mountains because like I can literally look out and see like South Salt Lake City
Uh-huh.
and stuff like that and Park City from above, at 11,000 feet, and I'm like, I'm breathing the clean air and those pores
It's like
below
that
me.
gif. You're just like, yes. I usually on my
So,
days off, I will go for like there's a switchback route I like to take like up through the mountains through like Heber and Park City.
oh
And
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's nice because it gets you out of the fucking smog and I can just breathe. It's also
No,
really fucking great in the summer too because I just drive like 80 miles an hour with all the windows open and it's like usually 10 degrees cooler up there.
dude, yeah, I came out like it looks like a week too early because you are getting all the fresh snow
Oh yeah, dude.
now.
So like I think
So
they were
whatever.
forecasting like 13 inches for Alta. So
Yeah, more than that. Yeah, I was
yeah.
just checking a
Oh
minute
man.
ago.
Well, everyone's freaking out because we had a pretty dry December, which is I don't know all the
No,
driving I had to do back and forth. I didn't mind it, but
it's been rough like everywhere. So yeah.
well, I mean,
Um,
last year we had a record breaking like more snow than we have ever had since we started record keeping for the state winter.
yeah. So, uh,
Hmm.
uh, what? But no. So, speaking of being foreign agents hitting on you in random places,
Mm, right, setting you up
um,
for honeypots, especially if
setting you
you're
up for honeypots.
disabled in a wheelchair and you have naked midgets doing equations on chalkboards. Shout out to the late, apparently not great Stephen Hawking, R.I.P. and piss apparently, because so
Okay, so a little inside baseball about the Stephen Hawking thing. So I had a professor in my undergrad, and he had worked. He was also English, and worked directly at what was it, Cambridge,
mm,
with or what was it, Oxford or Cambridge? It was like
British
um,
University.
yeah, British, whatever, English, yeah,
Yeah,
university. Um, uh, okay, this is gonna bother me.
yeah.
No, he was in Oxford. He's born in Oxford and died in Cambridge.
Ah,
So this is why I'm so fucking confused. Um. Okay. Yeah. He went to Cambridge.
okay.
All right. So the anyways, he had studied and worked with Hawking for a brief period of time and had commented on the fact that like he was just a deranged pervert. He didn't say it explicitly that way. He was like he has the appetite for ladies
Oh boy.
and stuff like that, or he had the appetite for ladies. Like, and actually I we ran the tribute show when he passed away. That was all of oh, that was 5 years ago now, yeah.
Ah,
Um, back at in Colorado when I was down there, and he mostly talked about his professional accomplishments and stuff like that. But no, it was funny, like leading up to the show, he's talking about his personality and it's like, he loved to crack a joke, and he was a ferocious ladies man
oof.
to to the point that I didn't want to hang out with him.
Oh man.
Yeah, like he God put him in a wheelchair. From my understanding, God put him in a wheelchair so he wouldn't constantly sexually assault people.
Oh my god.
Um, which he would still do anyways, because he would like run his wheelchair into people and stuff.
Oh my god. Just
But,
cruising for hole, just all the time. That's why he was so
so
obsessed with black holes. Suddenly, it all makes sense.
But,
Oh man.
that's all just hearsay.
Yeah.
I don't know the
I mean,
reality of it all.
I keep seeing it all over the place. I haven't really looked through the documents that much, like I did a little bit, but it's just like scans of hundreds of papers, so it's like takes you gotta like search for shit. But supposedly Epstein's on there. Not Epstein, yeah, duh. Hawking's on there. I think I saw Ralph Fiennes' name in one of the contact logs for Epstein. The Clintons, of course. Some of the Trumps. Trump's parents, I think, are in the black book,
I could believe that.
which
Yeah.
is yeah. I mean, they're like old ass like elder god money in New York State. Um, that's yeah. That's oh, and coincidentally enough, of course, this is nothing related at all. It's just coincidentally timed. Rage Against the Machine has announced they will no longer be touring live again.
Oh, man. Shit.
Totally unrelated news, by the way. The fact that that's happening right around the time the Epstein client logs are being released is in no way related.
Also there was a shooting in a
In
what was that,
school,
a high school?
yeah, in Iowa today, and like I think it was
In
five.
Iowa, where the Republican primary is happening,
Of
right?
course, yes, it's a flip state, yeah, or something. I don't know.
It's not a I mean, Iowa has a split, electoral college thing where,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's if I'm recalling correctly, or is that Nebraska, where it's like they have 3 votes and, like, 2 goes to the majority winner and 1 goes to the minority winner because, like,
Hmm,
that seems more fair to them.
I guess.
But, here's CBS News's thing. More of 900 pages of mostly unredacted documents.
Mm-hmm.
I saw one part where it was like, um, Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, and X like and redacted,
Yeah.
and it's like, wait, who the fuck is so important that like Bill Clinton and uh Prince Andrew like don't get their names redacted. Like who can pull the strings that their names get released and theirs doesn't?
Mm.
Like it was like a little excerpt, and then like there's only one little thing there.
Isn't there somebody who's suing to have their name blocked so like the part of the list is like redacted until January 22nd? I think that's what's going on. So that redacted person by the end of the month might get revealed. I've heard rumors that it's like I don't know, like Barack Obama is supposedly one of the redacted names. Big Mike,
I would
perhaps.
imagine like Oprah or Tom Hanks and stuff
Oprah
like
for
that.
sure. I could definitely see Oprah like, yeah, because like her fucking spiritual healer dude got arrested very recently on like thousands of counts of like child sexual abuse and child trafficking. So there's that.
Alan Dershowitz for
Yep.
sure has
Mm-hmm.
been a piece of shit forever. Um, so that's one of the big names. I mean, of all the people, who was it that fucking oh, libertarian presidential candidate. I don't want to misstate this. State this.
Vivek.
Who? No, no, no,
Ah,
no. There was a libertarian presidential candidate, and like it was just a highlight of how horrible the LP has been. Is that this candidate was like, oh, Dershowitz is like a libertarian lawyer who should be appointed to the Supreme Court. Like this was back in 2020 when the vacancy was kind of up
oh my
during the
god.
campaign, and I think it was Joe Jorgensen or something like that.
That would make
Um,
sense. George Jorgensen was the libertarian candidate of 2020, like
yeah,
dead
yeah,
center. So, ugh.
and I kind of like Joe Jorgensen, but I think she just like literally had no idea what was going on around her because it was the middle of COVID, and she's out there talking about like we should remove the license to braid hair.
Yeah.
Um and fucking she's like, "Oh, I my short list includes like Alan Dershowitz because he's such an advocate for like free speech." And it's like, What free speech? Because it's child pornography, is what
Yeah.
what Alan Dershowitz is interested in. Like,
Didn't he write an article talking about how the age of consent should be lowered to 14?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Technically, so this is where the ehebephile, like,
Oh,
pedo
jeez.
libertarian shit comes from,
If she's
and like
14 to 17, she's technically it's teenager, so she's an amphibophile.
like
not
this is why we got fucking burned for the last like 3 years. Like, we went on Frank's podcast and he had to ask us about the fucking age of consent, and it's because of this shit. It's
yeah.
because of Alan Dershowitz being on the short list for the libertarian candidate for SCOTUS, and it's
Also,
like,
do you
no,
remember
we
that
hate
one
these.
dude during a libertarian debate who like stripped down to his speedo and he was like this horrendously fat guy? And it
Yes,
was like
I
in that
remember that.
moment,
I don't know who he is.
I don't remember who he is or why he did it specifically, but I just remember in that moment I was like, that's it.
It's kind of a king, but
Kind of, but I was like, they'll never take LP seriously. It will never be taken seriously ever again. It will take like a new generation of people because that right there, like, we're the party that strips naked at the debate and like we go Chris Farley in the debate. That's what we did. That's the
well,
LP.
that was like an internal debate, and like the fact that that guy was allowed on stage when he was probably polling at like 1%
Mm,
internally within the LP was a joke. So he's just trying to get attention.
I suppose
Um,
it's like that kid who's like
he's just
snuck onto
shit
the.
posting. It's like,
It's like that kid who snuck into the award show and like they're giving the speech and he's like, "I also like to thank my rabbi, Bill Clinton." And it's like, who is this kid? He's not a part of the staff.
but I so how far are we from just openly admitting that Epstein was a Mossad blackmail
I think we're right there,
operation?
man. We're right there, and like this is a good time too because all of the anti-Israeli animosity due to the
It
Israeli-Palestinian
could
conflict, everyone's going to
it
be
could
like,
be an out.
"Oh, it could be an out." Like, "Oh, wow, look at that. There's a little thing right there." And oh, what was I going to say? Oh, so I was searching like there were a couple of names I was searching for, and like I said, I found like Trump's parents on there on the list. Trump himself actually is not in at least the documents I've seen. Like he's not in the contact log. He is mentioned, so there's also a testimony from a court case. I think this was a court case like later on, like late 2000s, early 2010s, when he actually got like caught and investigated. This young woman was being interviewed, and she was like one of the girls Epstein was using, and like she gave testimony about how like she did XYZ with these people and like all of this, and like they were asking her like people if she's ever done anything with it. They were like George Lucas, and she was like no. And then they asked if she had slept with Donald Trump, and she said no. And then they were like, did you ever contact or message Donald Trump? And she said no. And that's the only time he's mentioned in any of these documents, which
Well, Donald Trump's on video saying like, um, I think like this is back like 7 years, like during the arrest thing.
yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I think Bill Clinton's gonna have a lot of trouble with this Epstein stuff and the
Yeah.
island."
Hmm.
And like, I think like they knew each other, right? They're both in New York. They're both wealthy. They're in the same social
Well, I mean,
circles. But
Trump and Epstein and Bill all knew each other. Like they were buddies or sort of back in the day in the same social circle in New York.
or yeah, I don't know how much you can be friends when you're like basically always trying to stab each other in the back for a few $1 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but like that, because that's just the situation between all three of them at any given point.
Hmm.
And like the Clintons had the political power, Trump had the money, and Epstein had the blackmail,
Yeah.
right? And I think the Trump was probably, like I said, he's in this circle because he has to know these people. I think he's on the flight log several times, but only to Florida, never to the
So yeah,
island or anything
supposedly
like that.
he caught a flight from like West Palm to New York.
And I I I think it's pretty obvious that like Trump is not, he's into like big fake tits
Yeah.
on like models,
Like
right?
yeah, like 20-year-old bimbos is like Trump's prime category.
And he doesn't hide it either, right?
No,
He's
he does
not
not.
like so, or like porn stars, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
I mean, of
you know,
course
he's
that mean
never
he
hurt.
doesn't get up to shit. Like he could have slept with
Totally,
prostitutes
and
that were
I
like trafficked for some shit. Like you don't fucking know.
oh totally. I think all of these people are compromised at one level or another,
Yeah,
but uh you know, it's funny to me that like if they could have used this against Trump, they
they would
would
have.
have,
It would have leaked
right?
so many
A-
years ago, so hard. Like,
And it's and I think they're at the point where they're past collateral damage on
yeah,
this stuff. They're just when they're like just obviously admitting that like the Clintons are on that list and um like all these major actors and musicians and stuff like that.
Stephen Hawking,
Or yeah, just general famous people,
just wild,
scientists or whatever.
wild.
Yeah, well, like, where do they get off on? Where, what does the Mossad get off of fucking like having compromise on Stephen Hawking? Like, it doesn't. Of all the people to blackmail, like,
I don't
what's
know. Like they just
what's the
they just
jig?
want it just so they can. I really think it's as simple as like so then Israel wants to do stuff like this, like they can lean on them for public support. Like Stephen Hawking would totally be tweeting about how Israel has a right to defend itself.
did did he ever have a
I don't
Twitter
know.
account?
I don't think so. If he did, like I don't know. I'm pretty sure if he did, he probably didn't post about Israel at all, unless he has like a secret anti-Semitic blog that like nobody knows about.
Oh, he did have. I think it looks. Um,
Rolling Reich 88 is his Twitter handle.
no, I don't think that's it.
That's definitely it. Maybe allegedly in Minecraft.
Anyways, like no, if he was around, would it matter? Like, I mean, uh, didn't fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson also get like Me Too'd recently?
I don't. Maybe Jamie, pull that up.
Yeah, let me look it up. Yeah, this was in May. Um, he was accused and then exonerated
Oh, that's quick.
of inappropriate behavior. Um, he recently okay. So I live in a it was interesting because it was like Black Science Man and he yeah, there was some I don't even know what the allegations were. Maybe some inappropriate advances and stuff like that. Um but like I it wasn't anything I'm just wondering like they do want some like intelligence like academic support, right?
Sure.
And that like that's the whole thing that's going on with like Harvard right now and all this is like somehow they realized that they lost the intelligista like very suddenly. It was just like in the last 3 months, Israel woke up and was just like, wait a second, the universities like the Ivies are not in our pocket anymore.
On that
Which
new
is why
age
like these
leftism, man.
congressional hearings happened and all this other shit. What are you saying?
I was on that new age leftism, man. Oh yeah, and Gay resigned. The president of Harvard resigned finally.
We have defeated gay.
We have defeated Gay. It's a pretty good start to 24. Gay resigns a couple days in.
Globo homo
Global Homo
crushed.
has resigned. Oh,
No, it's actually like just hilarious because I work in academia as well, and it's really funny slash disheartening to look at some of these people's careers where they have just either accomplished nothing or just like blatantly using their power to just like be absolutely or just scumbags, and like they have almost no consequences for it
Of course.
at any given point. um so like as an example, we have um so I was talking to my old boss about me moving to a new place, and they were talking about, he's like, oh, so and so is there, um and he was my academic advisor, and he was you want to avoid him. He's not a good guy. He used to force, like he would have his grad students, like mind you, these are like 22-year-old, 23-year-old girls. Sometimes a lot he would mostly pick girls to be his grad students, and he
Mm.
would have them meet him at strip clubs for academic advising.
What the fuck? What the fuck, man?
And then um eventually, oh, he would pressure them to like drink and everything like this too, and like make passes at him and shit like that. And he underwent he got enough complaints that he underwent training.
Good training. That's what he needs.
He got training, and he settled with the university that there wouldn't be a lawsuit against him. um and he underwent, re-education for his wrongdoings. um and that this was like the sum of him basically trying to groom like people who, if you don't know what a grad student to advisor relationship is, your advisor is your boss, your professor, and your landlord, like rolled onto one.
Essentially
Because
destroying these people's lives
yeah,
to that point.
because like you're living off of a university stipend, your research that you're getting published is going through them, your stipend is coming through them, your classes, your opportunities to get TA, like even just basic employment not working for them is still has to get approved by them because they're your advisor and you're working under them. um so like basically they like uh, and this is the fucked up thing about being a grad student,
Hmm.
which is why I've elected to not be one, is it's indentured servitude. It's like 5 years of indentured servitude towards this professor, and there's a lot of unfucking savory people that do this shit. Um, and like I spoke too soon when I went on Frank's podcast, and um there was this girl complaining about astronomy is laden with like toxic masculinity even in the naming of stuff, and I was like, yeah, that's stupid. But what I really should have laid into is the fact that there's a bunch of old boys in fucking, not just astronomy but all across academia, and it's not just physics and chemistry, it's also the gender studies department where there's these sick fucks that are like, just like, oh, I get to have 20-year-old co-eds whose entire like who are eating ramen, and I get to decide whether they get to pay rent that month, um based on how much they kiss my ass. And
Hmm.
that is they get off on it, and that's all they want
God.
is to just have these 20-year-old co-eds that are kissing their ass all the time. There's so much of that abuse, and I'm getting red in the face just talking about it
About
because
to
I
say,
like
you're getting heated.
now that I know more about it, I'm like, holy shit, I hate these people.
Hmm.
There's a limited amount of very nice people in these things, and then like occasionally, like there's these tenure reviews, for people who like just are too obviously fucking up. Like so Claudine Gay, like she published 10 papers in 20 years, which like normally you're expected to do like one a year. And when you're what kind of professor or what kind of academic was she in the first place?
I
Like
have no idea. Genderqueer Black African underwater basket weaving studies.
she's a political scientist.
Same thing.
Yeah. So I had to look it up. Um so when you're in these like I they don't like you when you say soft sciences, but like the made up sciences like sociology and stuff like that.
Non-empirical sciences.
If it doesn't involve a ruler,
Yeah.
um, and when you're in these science kinds of sciences, like you're expected to write a book basically every few years, and the university press publishes it, and they do a minimum kickback because like it's required this is why I could never take these stupid like history courses or economics texts. Like I took an economics class um or no, I took a political science. It was a political science class, and on U.S. political system, and the book was mandatory reading for the class, was written by the professor, and it was only published by our university's press, and you could only get copies for like $200, and secondhand copies were still like $100 because it was only ever published for this one class
Yep.
to be taught at this one university.
Yep.
And by the way, he was the chief of staff for Bernie Sanders' campaign for Senate, in whatever year. And I straight up just didn't buy the book. I still did fine in the class because I know how American political system works.
Yep.
And anyways, so it's all bullshit like that. It's just all kickbacks all the way down. So
I remember
gay,
quite a few instances of that, like these like limited for the class only textbooks written by the professor that are several $100s. And sometimes you don't even get a fucking book. You just get like a digital code you go and enter on a website, and it's like a timed selected the release that you have access to this book for the class. And then when the semester's over, you don't have it anymore. There's nothing to trade into the bookstore. You're just done.
yeah, no, it's totally,
It's fucking
it's
robbery, dude. Like,
absolute rent seeking, and to a T, they're all like communists,
yeah,
but like they behave exactly how they portray a landlord, a slumlord, would be.
exactly.
Um, but so like there's occasionally these like review things where it's like, hey, you haven't published anything, and like so there was one case where I think I can talk about this because I haven't named names, and nominally people don't know where I'm at. But like there was this case where this guy hadn't published anything in like 3 years, and he had a final for his students that he couldn't even bother to show. It was a oral presentation. It's a very small class, like a 10 person, like 4,000 level class.
Yeah.
And he couldn't even bother to show up for the final to grade their oral presentations. So he said, "Hey guys, um, you can grade each other on all of this, and I'll make the arbiter the kid who had the highest grade in the class before I left. And by the way, thank you for your service. I'll get you a gift card."
Oh my god. Oh my fucking god, dude. It's so unserious. Like, imagine the money you pay for this 4,000 level class to
Right?
go.
Yeah. No, it's all a scam. Like, and that's what I talk about. Like, take care of your health because like people are gonna be, um, think about all the doctors
Oh
that are
god.
getting graduated from these universities and the surgeons and everything like
That are
that.
like using Chat GPT to get through their classes, and these half these classes are just taught by these completely apathetic. Man, all right, everybody's gonna have to learn like self surgery and holistic shit because fuck.
No, it's yeah. So universities are a joke. Educate yourself if you can.
Mm,
Um, but so yeah, that what Israel's got some point to it, but I mean, honestly, it's the thought shaping, right?
yeah.
Inside of the university, setting the, shaping the future minds of the good citizens. Isn't that the nominal task? So
Mm.
it's like, oh,
So
if you
they're
get
all
this,
well rounded.
yeah, if you can blackmail all of these influential top professors who are making all the appearances on PBS and Nova and shit like that, and BBC documentaries and like, oh, then like when they occasionally opine on the Israel situation or the Iraq war, oh, it's so credible. And even I can't even think of somebody else besides Hawking, but Hawking would never,
Bill
he wasn't
Nye.
like, oh, Bill Nye. You fucking,
Bill Nye, the
oh,
mechanical
don't get me
engineer.
started on fucking Bill Nye.
Do you remember that show they came out with on Netflix for Bill Nye that they canceled after a season?
No,
They came
I
out with
didn't.
a show, it was in the past couple of years, probably like I want to say it was like Trump era. And like it was like the gayest gender queer bullshit show and got canceled after a season.
I'm not. Totally spacing it.
It's
All I know of
it's
Bill
yeah.
Nye recently is that he's been doing like the Mars Society and like the Planetary um, Society or something like that.
Mm.
Netflix. Bill Nye Saves the World
That's it.
in 2017.
That's it.
53% of viewers liked this show.
What percent?
53% of Google users.
It's bad, man. It's pretty bad.
Hmm.
Eh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember that slightly coming out. People really soured on Bill Nye once they realized, like, he's just such a like. When you're a kid, you don't realize how bad the propaganda is, and then like
You
we all
start
grew up and thought like, oh, he's just like the science guy, right? And then like he's like we can go back and maybe we can't go back anymore and watch the episodes where they're like talking about like a, a boy is caused by your chromosomes. If you're a boy, you've got an X
they
and a
are
Y
still out
chromosome.
there. You can find
They
them.
are
Yeah.
okay, and then they like we'll talk about like the transgender thing or like him on global warming. Um, it's just also patently obvious. Like the global warming thing's like way harder for like the average person to like call out bullshit on usually. Um, but like the gender stuff was like that's usually the last straw when like it's so obvious for people. They're just
Yeah.
like, wait a second, I
Wait a
remember being in
second.
fourth grade
I remember
and we're talking about
chromosomes.
chromosomes.
I remember XX and XY. You can't fool me, man.
I got tested on this shit. We watched
Food
your video.
pyramid, grain on the bottom, XXXY, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, Treaty of Versailles. I got this, bro, okay? You can't fool me, man.
So okay, and actors make sense too, right? Because they're
Mm.
also thought opinion leaders. Like, I mean, Gal Gadot had a meteoric rise from being a like stand-in babe in the fucking Fast and Furious franchise to
Which was
becoming Wonder
hilarious
Woman.
because she was like a fucking stick bug, and they were like, "Oh, look how hot she is," and she's just like walking, like she turns sideways and
It's
disappears, and
just
like turns back.
heroin.
Yeah,
She's just got that heroin chic
I will
going.
say there was this movie. I don't remember what the fuck it was, but she played like this Russian like mobster was wife or something like that. But he was like some low lover gangster. But like she really was like super ghetto. It was like kind of hot, but at the same time, it's just like no, you're a Jew pretending to be a Russian mobster. This is you're just ethnic brown lady right now. It's like when they
Yeah,
get like South Americans to play Israelis in American war movies.
they're just vaguely a little bit tan,
Just
you
a little
know?
bit. Like I think it was Predators, the Predator movie with Adrian Brody and Danny Trejo. There's like she's like an Israeli sniper or something like that, and like if you look at the
Yeah.
actress,
Oh, yeah,
she's
yeah,
like from
yeah.
like Peru or something like that. It's just like, all right, yeah, she looks whatever. Brown hair, dark skin, brown eyes, perfect. Israeli, South American, same thing.
All right, so let's I've got the list of names in unsealed court documents so far.
Ooh.
Okay, this is from the Independent um in UK. Prince Andrew,
Mm-hmm.
second son of Queen Elizabeth.
Second son,
Bill
Queen Elizabeth.
Bill, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, David Connerfield, John Connolly, um, Alan Dershowitz. These are just people named. John Connolly was a detective who investigated Epstein,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
he's named because he was in in the
It's
part of the
kind of it's
investigation.
kind of clickbaity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Leonardo DiCaprio, Al
Oh yeah,
Gore,
of course, Leonardo DiCaprio.
yeah, Stephen Hawking. Oh yeah, I can't.
Oh man,
All of his girlfriends come with a timer.
yeah.
Um, Ehud Barak, the former Israeli prime minister,
Ah.
Michael Jackson,
Mm.
Maven Minsky, Kevin Spacey, George
So I
Lucas,
want to
Jean-Luc
say there
Pernell.
was Michael Jackson was mentioned in the documents that I saw too, but supposedly it was a situation where he was offered a massage from like a young person and he declined it.
Well, the problem was is that the young person in question was a girl.
Yes.
So
Yeah, exactly. Like if it was a boy, who knows? Ugh.
what's the norm? The classic norm joke. From it was a part of his SNL sketch where he reads the news headlines, right? Where it's like, uh, Presley and Michael Jackson have divorced, which comes as a surprise to no one because she's a woman and he's a gay pedophile.
No, I don't remember that. Oh my god.
it is, it is
Norm,
like
R.I.P. Norm.
R.I.P. Norm. Uh, Jean-Luc Brunel was a French model agency boss and co-conspirator who died in a suicide while awaiting trial in France.
Hmm.
Kate Blanchett, Naomi Campbell, Sharon Churcher, Bruce Willis. Oh,
Hmm.
Brill Richardson, Cameron Diaz,
Hmm.
Eva Anderson Dubin, Glenn Dubin, Miss Sweden who dated Epstein,
Just
um, Glenn Dubin, a pledge hedge fund manager in America, Noam Chomsky. Ooh,
ooh,
explains why Noam Chomsky is take the vax and back.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Tom Pritzker. I don't know who is the American tycoon. Okay. James Ostrich. I don't know who that is. Juan Alessi, husband and wife of. Okay. Uh, Hanus Basanak. I don't know if you know any of these people. Victoria Bean,
Mm-mm.
Rebecca Boylan, Dana
Mm.
Burns, Mana Devisian, Chris Donahue, Ron Eppinger, Daniel Estes, Annie Farmer, Louis Free, Alexandra Fakea, and Frederick Fakea. Jojo Fontanella, Crystal Figueroa.
I don't know any of these people.
Yeah. Okay, let me browse for names I recognize. Um,
You do that. I'm gonna get another beer.
yeah, okay. Um, Dr. Steven Olson. No, I don't know who that is. Stephen Kaufman? No, that was who's who's the good Kaufman? Um, Charlie. Charlie's the good one. No? The one that Man on the Moon is about. Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman's the good comedian. Okay. Uh Judith Lightfoot.
Huh?
That's not Lori Lightfoot, so doesn't matter. Um See, I still don't
Sorry, was
Like
Gordon Lightfoot on the list?
we're getting into the B list here. There's just like nobody
Oh, jeez.
that like I would know offhand. Like, give me a mugshot with them, you know?
Yeah.
Some of them names here are accusers too, or like people
So
who are
this is
trafficked,
it's just a
etc.
list of any name that's in the documents. So,
Yeah, yeah. So it's not entirely useful.
mm,
Joe Pagano, do you know that name?
mm.
Whatever. So,
Icy
I
Wiener,
think
Seymour Butts, Ivana
Hugh
Humpalot,
Jazz.
Hugh Jazz. Yep, I heard him.
Uh, I just it feels like a limited hangout to me. Like nothing we didn't already know.
Exactly. And like, it really seems like Prince Andrew and certain other figures are just like the token whipping boys. Like they've pretty much
Right?
already
Like,
lost
what's the what consequences is he gonna actually fucking face? Like,
nothing.
he's still
Nothing.
incredibly rich. He's gonna
Nothing's
live
gonna
his
happen to
life
any of these people.
to a natural death.
Mm,
He's gonna get to drink as much adrenochrome as he ever wants.
exactly. Which is, I mean, we do have to take into account that these are real physical people who have names and addresses and phone numbers, but it's not like they're publicly available or anything. And like, if you've submitted a freedom of information request and wanted the whatever of somebody on the list, it's I don't know. I'm not saying don't do that. Definitely don't do that.
All right, so let's read the chat before we uh wrap up here.
Word.
Joe Jorgensen, JC says Joe Jorgensen endorsed Dershowitz. That's
Mm-hmm.
really difficult to say. Joe Jorgensen endorsed Dershowitz.
George Jorgensen endorsed Dershowitz. Joe Jorgensen endorsed Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Thanks, JC. JC, she looks young, but she's actually 1,000 years old. That was in response to Death Chelada. Didn't Rage Fall Apart? Wam Deus, however he spells his name on the list. Death Chelada asks, any French philosophers in the Black Book? I bet, but
All of them.
I don't recognize the names as far as like
Jean Pierre
connecting
de
it.
Cyclingvent.
I know Satra, like you don't need Epstein's flight logs to know that Satra was a piece of shit who
Mm-hmm.
flew to Morocco to rape little boys. JC says, to be fair, the new generation of LP is decently better. I tend to think so. I
I
think
mean, they
the
did get swept by the Mises caucus, so that's good. That's a good thing. It's a
yeah.
good development.
JC also says France doesn't need a secret Epstein island. The whole country of France is like
This
that.
is true. This is very true. Oh boy.
Trump's like Hefner. He has a type.
This is true. This is very true.
As Death Chelada. JC from the phone call talking about pulling a coup in Ukraine to get the old president out.
Must have been one of the people you mentioned.
Yeah. Death Chelada says DiCaprio 25 and way under.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like, dude, that's a rule. As soon as 25 hits, he's just fucking out of there, man.
I think he did delay breaking up with his most recent girlfriend until she was like 27.
And then yeah,
so
immediately went
like,
to a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Like he's settling in for the next God, 6 years.
Just Death Chelada says rip Norm.
Mm.
Indeed. All right, any closing thoughts here? Yeah, rip to Norm.
Just again, names and addresses, folks. Names and addresses. That's all I'm going to say. It's publicly available. And that's it. How about you? Any closing thoughts?
Everything I say is satire and parody. Don't think
Everything we say is satire and parody. This is not an incitation to do anything other than Google things. That's it.
Don't even Google.
Don't even Google.
Just go
ask Jeeves.
Pick up a copy of the New York Times.
Yeah, just
put your face in it. And
exactly.
Just, cover to cover. That's all you need.
New York Times, the Epoch Times, the Wajo, the New York Post. Just pick it up and read it.
Oh, New York Post is dangerous fringe conspiracy theories. It has Hunter Biden's laptop.
Oh, this is true. Yeah, don't watch out for that Russian disinformation that totally isn't actually factual. Like watch out for that.
No, just watch MSNBC,
Yeah.
watch Meet the Press. That's
watch Rachel Maddow. Just watch Rachel Maddow and John Oliver. That's all you need.
Brought to you by Raytheon.
Brought to you by Raytheon. Brought to you by Lockheed Martin. Sponsored by Bud Light, not Modelo. Sorry.
Wait, aren't they all owned by the same like InBev or something like
Yeah,
that?
they're all owned by like Conglomerates Beverage Corp or something. It's Bev Incorporated.
I okay. Yeah, InBev owns Bud Light, and do they own Modelo? They own Corona.
Oh, not unsurprising. I don't think they own Modelo then. All right, Modelo's safe.
Oh, Saab Miller owns Imperial. I'm just trying to look at the Mexican beer brands here
Mm.
at a glance to see. Pilsner. Pilsner's a style, not a brand. How did they get that
Mm.
done? Milwaukee, Mickey's.
Old Milwaukee.
Yeah, stop buying mass production beer.
Yeah,
Go get local production beer.
the Cat Piss
Don't
IPA. Indulge.
you don't have to get Cat Piss IPA. They don't all just make that. Just because
JC says
that's
my
all I
tree
drink.
better be down by next episode. Well, listen, JC, I was gonna take it down on Sunday, but now maybe I'll just fucking leave it up. Tune in that week to
Um
find out.
JC says I think less racist Max only sees 2 messages and not all messages. Oh, I'm looking at the top. Oh, I need the live chat? I don't know. And it's strictly JC says everything is strictly assumed to be hypothetical in the game of Minecraft.
Of
Okay.
course.
Andrew Dice Clay, Bruce Valash, Ben's tree. Okay. Yeah, actually I'm not taking my tree down either until January 6th, the
Exactly.
date of the Epiphany.
Ah, yes,
All
right.
right.
It's the second revolution. That's when we take our tree down. The annual
Well,
taking down the Christmas tree to build the Christmas gallows for the politicians.
dude, did you see the Joe Biden ad for like we're fighting the extremist movement in America, and they're showing pictures of like the
Oh,
gallows
fuck
that
yeah.
were erected outside of the Capitol
You
for the
don't see
Trump
the left
protest.
ever fucking erecting gallows anywhere. They
And it's
wish.
like this is like literally just like a great Trump ad right now. I'm
Literally,
like
like, also, how long were you motherfuckers camped out in Central Park for the Occupy Wall Street protests? And not one of you built a gallows? Not one of you built a fucking
come
gallows. Like,
on,
come on!
just for fun.
Like, it's totally just it's a prank, bro. Like, you gotta have fun with it. Also, possession of a gallows is not a crime. It does not mean you're going to do anything with it. It's just a gallows.
It's like the Haymarket affair. Okay.
Yeah.
Back when the anarchists were accused of bombing the police in Chicago,
Mm.
the lawyer legitimately argued and had the weapons charges dismissed by saying it is every American's right to possess dynamite.
Fuck yeah.
Um, this was like 1899.
Fuck yeah,
Um,
man.
so they took the Second Amendment a little more seriously back then. Anyways, gallows certainly do not. You have a right to possess gallows
Exactly. Yeah.
in the Second Amendment. Hammers are cheap, says Death Gelato.
That's right. You could just get a mob of people with hammers. It's very true. But that'd be Minecraft only because you can only get hammers in Minecraft. So
Right. Oh, well, they're great for breaking up stone.
they're great for making up stone or bone, or brick,
Yeah.
glass, doors. All right.
Yeah,
Before
tell me
we,
more. Do you want to start a let's play with your Minecraft?
I don't play Minecraft. I've never actually played Minecraft.
I like Valheim.
Valheim
Have you ever
is.
played
I
Valheim?
played Valheim a little bit. It was fun. It got
Yeah, it's
difficult. Like the difficulty jumps between areas was like, oh shit. But like,
dude. The like level 3 was just like or like the swamps was just exponentially more difficult
yeah,
than the first two things. Yeah.
I've been still putting the 4090 through the paces. I've been going back into Red Dead 2 and just maxing all the settings. It is gorgeous, dude.
Oh, I need to get a new graphics card. I instead splurged on a new cargo box for my car.
That's fair enough, dude. You use that shit. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I was too fed up with not being able to open the hatch on my car because I have one. It's just way too long.
word.
So I
Oh,
just need
I
to.
gotcha. Yeah, it doesn't allow your hatch to open fully.
Mhm.
Gay.
And also, I've had my old box for like 16 years.
Yeah.
It's like literally since I was in high school. So,
That's a
um,
long time to keep a box around, dude.
dude, sometimes a dusty old box, it's still a good box,
Yeah,
you
man, the
know?
box that stands by you and just carries all your shit for all these years. You got to stand by the box. All right,
Um,
before we incriminate ourselves any further, I think we should call it. Unless you have anything else you want to add.
taxation stuff.
Taxation is theft. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us. We highly encourage you to peruse the Epstein docs and view them with your own eyes, and not just going through random articles and taking people's word for it. It's a good idea, it can point you in the right direction, but seeing is believing. And as always, again and forever, taxation is theft.